Hello everyone, welcome to today's video. I am so happy that I am able to put out more and more content, and I'm trying to be as regular as possible. And I also want to tell you that I've switched up my lighting. I hope you can notice it, and you need to tell me if you think this is good enough. And I am really liking how it has turned out. I'm just looking into the monitor and I'm appreciating the lighting now. I think it's pretty good, and we can all see everything very clearly, all the pores and all the realities of makeup, how it is meant to look in real life, can all be seen very clearly on your screen now. So I hope you guys like that and appreciate that. So in today's video, what we're basically going to do is I'm going to be sharing a lot of my tips and tricks on how to nail your base game, how to ace it. And I am going to do a quick fun little challenge as well. So I am only using MORPHE X ARIEL brush set, the full brush set. This is the first time that I'm using it, so it's a try on as well. It's like a first impressions as well. But since I always use a concealer brush, an angular concealer brush, to blend my concealer, which we do not have in the set, I always set my face with a powder puff, which again we do not have in the set. So it really was a challenge, but I think we nailed it. And for people who do not like to set their face using the powder puff, should be loving this one. And I think especially for people who use a beauty sponge to blend their concealer and blush and all of that, because I am all in all a brush girl, you would have something to look out for. I have been loving the brushes, so make sure you watch the video till the end to actually know how each brush performs. So I think it was a long ass intro. Let's quickly jump right in. So I am right here and I'm ready to dive into the base now. The eyes are done, the brows are perfectly on, and the skin is thoroughly moisturized. I used the Wishful Honey Balm Jelly Moisturizer. Now this is a beautiful moisturizer, especially for dry skin, and with the winter already right here, we need all the moisture that we can get. Now when you massage this into the skin, it just leaves a slightly oily texture to the skin and really keeps the moisture locked in for hours at a stretch. And for me, who's extremely dry, I am always on the hunt for such moisturizers. Now let's quickly dive right in, and I am going to be using a pore filling primer. Today I'm using the Smashbox Photo Finish Smooth and Blur. So I'm just going to take a very small amount, just about this much. Again, not rubbing it in. If you've been watching my videos, you know you are not supposed to rub your pore filling primers in, and you're just supposed to very lightly, kind of pat them into the skin. So I'm not using any harsh motions here. All I'm very lightly doing is trying to fill the pores in. all the pore filling primers are silicone based. Alright, so now if you rub them harshly, they are just going to start pilling up onto the skin. Now, if you do not know what pilling up means, is if you've ever used a moisturizer and you've been massaging it, or any product for that matter, you've been massaging it for a very long time, and then you see some pills coming up onto the skin and it's just kind of getting back onto your hands, that is basically known as pilling up in terms of makeup and skincare. So when you use very harsh motions with a silicone based primer especially, you tend to make it pill up onto the skin, and then when you on top of that put up your foundation and everything, it is going to keep pilling up even more. So you want to make sure you either pat or very lightly just kind of fill it into those pores. Now just think of it like it's a hollow, right? Pores are hollow areas on your skin and you want to fill it in. Now if you just keep rubbing it off, it is not really going to go deep into those pores, rather it's just kind of going to sit on top, and you don't want that, especially with a pore filling primer. So that is why you want to make sure you pat it into the skin and very gently fill those pores with the primer. Now while the primer sinks into the skin, you want to give it about 2 to 3 minutes to kind of settle down, and that is when you want to move on to the next layer. But since we've not really applied this primer under the eyes, so while this is kind of sinking in, I'm going to be color correcting my dark circles. So starting with the color corrector, and I am of course going to be using it under the eyes where I have the maximum darkness, around the mouth, and then since we're using only MORPHE X ARIEL brushes, so I'm going to be using the A19, which is a flat concealer brush. So it's like a precision concealer brush. It comes with a flat edge on one side and a definer on the other, and you can use it for eyeshadow, you can use it for your concealer of course, and this could also be used to pack on the shimmer shades since it's a flat brush and it pretty much acts like a fingertip. Now diving into the foundation, I am going to be using the Too Faced Born This Way foundation. Now this is not my exact match, as you can see right here. It is pretty darker than my skin tone. So this is going to be like a super great tip for you. I am going to be mixing this LA Girl Pro Coverage foundation in the shade white, of course, as you can see right here. So I'm going to be mixing these two and I can get my perfect match right here so that I do not have to waste such an expensive foundation, and I'm going to show you how. So I am going to take about 2 pumps of the Born This Way. As you can see, it's a pretty darker shade as compared to my original skin tone, and here I am going to take a very small amount of the LA Girl White foundation and I am going to mix these two in right on the back of my hand, and you can see it is already pretty close to my skin tone. Now if I want, I can always add the white, but I think we need to add just a tiny bit more of the white. So I'm just going to take very, very tiny amount and see, just about this much more, and again just mixing it into the foundation, and there you have it. Now this is going to match me really, really well. Now using the A24 from the collection, I am going to buff this foundation into the skin, and you can see how seamless it matches me. Look at that perfect match. Now I'm just going to try and take some onto the bristles directly. And this is such a soft brush. Look at that match. So perfect. And the best part about this technique is that it does not, change the texture or the properties of your original foundation, since we are adding a very, very small amount of the white foundation. So that is like a very, very good way to make sure you can use the foundations that you kind of matched wrong, especially when you're matching your foundations online, and this is one of those for me. I matched myself online and it was such a disaster. For the longest time I could not use this foundation until I decided to invest in this one, and now I have some more foundations in my stash which were matched incorrectly, and I can use them all. So I'm just so happy about it. I'm just taking one more pump and again mixing about this much. Perfect match. Since we're talking about foundations here, I am going to be posting a reel on how to do this, and there are some more tricks that I have up my sleeve that I use when I'm kind of doing a bridal makeup as well. And I am going to be posting a dedicated reel for this very, very soon. So make sure you are following me on Instagram so that you can get the maximum out of it. I'm just going to give you a gist here. So especially if you're a bridal makeup artist or a makeup artist as well, there are many times that we find ourselves stuck in situations where we do not have the correct undertone of the bride of our client. In that case, what I like to do is kind of color correct my foundation. So as the color theory states, you use orange to warm up things and you use blue for a cooler undertone. And therefore what I like to do is I like to carry an orange pigment and a blue pigment. Again, it is from LA Girl in my vanity. And what I like to do is, if there are chances that I do not have a warm enough foundation for my client, I just like to mix a tiny bit of the orange pigment, and then I have the perfect match for my client, which is, you don't need to carry so many shades. It's just impossible to be carrying every single shade in your vanity, and therefore it just always comes in very, very handy. Now this brush does not leave any streaks, which is such a great thing. You can see just no streaks at all, and it is so soft. I absolutely love it. This is the first time that I'm using this ARIEL set, and there is just no going wrong. He just knows what he's doing. It just matches me so nicely, as you can see, and I'm just so happy that I'm finally able to use this foundation, which I absolutely love. It's such a skin-like foundation and just gives you that perfect coverage and still gives you a glowy finish. Matlab, absolutely natural, because it is not overly dewy and not overly matte, just how I want my skin to look like. Time for the concealer, and I am using the Huda Beauty Faux Filter Concealer. I posted a dedicated review for this concealer on my Instagram. Make sure you check that out as well. So I absolutely love the applicator. Super huge, makes it really easy to put on the perfect amount of concealer in just one go. You don't even need to double dip. It is that perfect. Perfect match. And I'm just going to put on a tad bit here. And I don't think I need any more coverage. And to blend this out, I am going to be using the sponge that comes with it. And look at how huge it gets once you wet it. It is just so beautiful and super soft. So to blend this area, I am going to be using the foundation brush again, just buffing it in. Now wherever I want some more coverage, I am just going to let the concealer sit for a few seconds so that it just gives me the maximum coverage possible. And for my under eyes, I am going to be using the sponge, taking the concealer a little higher for that lift. And here I'm just going to tap it right where I need it to be, and the blemish is gone. Just tapping it. So never expect that 3D texture of your acne to go away with just makeup. It is just, asking for the wrong thing. So therefore, see, it can definitely cover the redness, but it cannot cover the dimension of it. And if you even expect it, you just don't know what you're, in for. Now, whatever is left in the sponge, I'm just going to squeeze it and go around the eyeshadow to make sure it is seamless. Look at that difference. So that is like a pro tip that you can truly follow. That just cleans up the eyeshadow so beautifully, and you truly need to try this tip out because it just makes the world of a difference. Now we are ready for the cream blush and the cream bronzer. And for my bronzer, I am using the Chanel cream bronzer, and I'm using the A58 from the set, and I'm just going to coat the tip of the brush just like so, and there we go. Just so seamless. The bristles of all the brushes are just so freaking soft, makes it so easy to blend the product. This is like a very natural bronzer for me. if I wanted to go a little darker, I would have gone for the shade 395. I'm currently using the shade 392 in this bronzer. Just the fragrance of this bronzer just actually makes you feel so luxe. That perfect definition, taking it a little higher for that lift, and I'm happy with that slight amount of bronze. Just taking it around the forehead, buffing it into the hairline, and there we go. And I'm just going to pinch the brush very lightly and go around my nose for a very natural bronze. For my blush, I'm using this tiny little mini by Rare Beauty. This is in the shade Hope, and I am going to take some on the back of my hand. Since these are supremely pigmented, you really want to make sure you do not directly apply because it sets very quick. And I'm going to be using the sponge again, evening it out on the back of my hand. Now, if you have fuller cheeks, you want to make sure you avoid the center, the apple of your cheeks, so that your cheeks do not look even more, full. And you want to take it a little high. But if you do not have a lot of cheeks, you want to make sure that you start from here and then go upwards. But if you have fuller cheeks, you want to start from here and go upwards for that lift. And that is going to make such a huge difference in the placement of your blush. Whatever is left goes here. And there's of course not a lot left, and it is such a natural looking blush. And now I am ready for the final concealer, which is going to be a brightening concealer for me. And I am going to be using the ABH Magic Touch Concealer. I am using the shade 8 here, which is a brightening shade for me, as you can see right there. Here. A very small amount here, because I don't want to bring a lot of attention to the outer part of my mouth. And then I am just going to use the concealer side and make sure I blend it in. See, honestly, that is why I really like a concealer brush, so that you can easily get here. But with a sponge so big, it is of course going to be difficult. But since I promised you I'm going to be using all Morphe x Ariel brushes and the brush set, which comes with this, I am sticking to my promise here. But if it was not for the sake of the video, I definitely would have used my pack 272, which is one of my favorites, or my Anisa Beauty angled concealer brush. It's a chef's kiss, and it is, I think it's the pretty much Indian dupe that's available to us is the pack 272, and believe me, it is no less and a fraction of the price. So you should definitely try that one out if you haven't already. We went too overboard with the concealer here, but don't worry, I know how to fix that. And honestly, makeup is all about fixing your errors. And that is what I want to teach you here on this channel. So whenever you make a mistake, you know how to get away with it. Alright, so I'm done with the concealer. You can see how brightened my under eyes look. So now it is time to set those under eyes. And you know I always set my under eyes with a powder puff. But again, sticking to my promise here, the set comes with this brush, which is the A14, which is the precision setting brush, and I am going to stick to this one just because I promised. So let's do that. Now I'm going to be using the Huda Beauty Pound Cake, and there we go. Taking the brush, coating it evenly, getting rid of the excess. Now if you're a brush lover for your setting powder, this is how you do it, and press the powder in. Do not buff it, do not rub it, do not do anything other than pressing the powder into those creases. Can you see that difference? Such a perfect little sized brush to fit into those inner corners. Now I don't feel like setting the whole face, but for this purpose we do have a bigger powder brush, which is the A21, and I don't want to use it because I don't need so much of powder on my face since I'm pretty dry already. So I'm going to stick to this tiny little brush. Wherever I crease the most is where I'm trying to set with this tiny little brush. And honestly, I think I'm in love. It just looks so beautiful. Just the perfect amount of powder you can pick up with this. You're not going to get a lot, so you won't be able to get like a lot of powder on your face, which is just perfect. So I'm using the Glowish bronzer with the A3.2 brush, which is for your powder bronzer, and it is a little stiff, not very fluffy, which is just perfect to get that intensity on. And there you go, just perfect. Now I'm not even set here, but still it is doing a pretty good job of not disturbing the base underneath, which is absolutely perfect. Now whatever concealer was left, I am going to use that to clean up underneath, and you can see it makes a lot of difference. All tips and tricks in this video, huh? It's just going to be so helpful for you all, and I'm just so excited about that. Now for the blush, I am supremely excited about this one. This is by Patrick Ta, and it is in the shade She Is Passionate. It was broken, and I am going to be using that with the A22, which is the blush brush. Supremely flexible, picks up a good amount of the powder. Just so perfect for this motion. This is the time that I'm going to be using a setting mist. I'm using the Flower Beauty Seal the Deal setting mist. It is so inexpensive. It is the MRP is 600, so I'm sure you can get it for about 450 to 500 on Nykaa. The best part about this one is a lot of the drugstore or inexpensive setting sprays come with a very harsh spray, but this one, such a smooth setting mist, makes it so, such a great experience of using a setting mist. Now pressing the setting spray into the skin using, look at the difference this makes. There it is, beautiful. And now it's time for the highlighter. I'm using the brush A11, which is like the biggest eyeshadow brush in the collection for the highlighter. And I'm using the KKW Highlighter Palette. So I'm going to use this shade right here. That is a blinding glow. Again, I'm just pressing it into the skin. And there is the full base. Now, what I would do to fix this is, I am going to take any concealer brush. Now, since I do not have that in the kit, I am going to use the A20 here. And what I'm going to do is, I'm lightly going to buff it into the eyeshadow. And I'm going to do that even here. And there you go. Like, we never made a mistake. Now what I need to do is, I'm just going to quickly finish the eyes and be right back to do the lips with you. Alrighty guys, I'm back with the eyes all done and I'm absolutely loving it. So you want to make sure that you check my Instagram for the tutorial for this eye look. I have used a new eyeshadow palette and I am already obsessed. So it's just so sultry and I think perfect for this fall season. I mean, I know fall is over and we're already into winters, but this season, the hot chocolate season, is what this eye look is all about. So I'm just loving it. So let's quickly finish up the lips. And for the lips today, of course, I'm doing nudes. And so for my lip today, I am going to be using the Smashbox Always On Liquid Lipstick in the shade Stepping Out. This is like the perfect nude that this weather demands for. Look at that shade. For my lip liner, I'm using this K-Beauty lip liner in the shade Fame. So this lip shade just matches the eye look so perfectly. Especially, do you see this outer corner shade and this? It's such a monochromatic look. And recently I have been in love with monochromatic looks. Now I cannot do without a gloss. I am no more a matte lip girl. I just don't know how I ever did it. So this particular lip formula is extremely comfortable. Even then, I just do not feel like doing just a matte lip. So for my gloss, I am using the Lifter Gloss by Maybelline in the shade Moon. And there we have it. And this is the final look. I am in absolute love with how this look has turned out. Just perfect for the wedding season as well. For the festive season, Christmas is around the corner. The New Year's is around the corner. We are just 1.5 months. I think by the time you would see this video, it will not even be another half a month. It would be around 10 more days. and we are just approximately a month away from the new year, and I am supremely excited. I'm sure so are you. So this should be a great look for your New Year's Eve as well. It's just so stunning and I totally love it. Let me just give you guys a quick close up. So this is the final look and I am just in love, and I truly hope that all the tips and tricks that I shared with you in today's video are going to help you guys out in some way to level up your makeup game. And if you have any specific concerns that you want me to help you with, please make sure that you leave it down in the comment section below so I can make sure that I include it in my upcoming videos. So I am going to see you guys in my next one, and just make sure you take good care of yourself until then. And I'm just going to request you guys to please subscribe to the channel. It's just going to help me a lot, and it's just going to keep motivating me to create more and more content for you guys. So goodbye, take care, and I love you all so much.